Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and today I'm going to do a little podcast type episode for you, so feel free to run this in the background. You're just going to see some of the cards slide by on the video, so there's going to be nothing new here, nothing you haven't seen before. So if you're looking for previews, maybe this isn't the video for you. Just check back with us later in the week. I'm sure we will have some. But a lot of people have asked me about my thoughts on the Guilds of Ravnica Mythic booster boxes that they'll be selling in the Hasbro store. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about that product a little bit. And I'm going to break this into two parts. I'm going to talk first analytically about the product, why I think they're doing it. And then the second half of the video, or the end of the video, I'll just give you my personal thoughts because I do get a lot of questions about that. So sit back, relax. This is just about kind of talking, and I don't have anything like rehearsed or written down today. I'm just going from the top of my head, so bear with me, I suppose. So first off, in case you're not aware what this product is, on October 3rd it comes out. It's only available on the Hasbro store. So you go to the Hasbro store. They only ship to United States and Canada, unfortunately, which does seem kind of weird considering this day and age, but okay, they'll ship to those two countries. And if you want to buy this product, it's a booster box of 24 Guilds of Ravnica packs. 8 of those packs are going to have special Planeswalker cards in them. These cards will be foil. They're brand new art. It's extended art. They do look pretty cool. That's what you see on the screen that's scrolling by here. And if you decide you want this product, you're going to have to spend $249.99 plus shipping and tax where applicable. So this is not a cheap product. This is very, very high-end stuff, and ultimately you're just getting packs of Guilds of Ravnica other than these 10 Planeswalkers that will be packed in 10 of the booster packs. So, here we go. The big question, why is Wizards doing something like this? They're creating a product that's very expensive, that can't even be reached by all consumers, not only because of the financial issue here, but also because of just the shipping issues. Why would they do this? Well, let's talk analytically first. Now, for many of you who've listened to my shows for a while, you might know this about me, but prior to starting this channel, I actually worked for one of the largest corporations in the world for over 20 years. I was an upper manager there. So I have a lot of insight as to how corporations think and how they behave. And I can definitely see what's going on here when it comes to some of the decision making that happens with Hasbro, happens with Wizards of the Coast. So I'm going to give you kind of the inside baseball as to how a big company thinks and how they operate. And like I said, then at the end, I'll tell you personally what I think. All right. So why would they do this? I think there's two reasons. The first one, maybe the more obvious reason, is simply because they need to make up the money that they're not making this year. And what I mean by that is, let's go back to last holiday season. Not counting supplemental products. Let's just talk about major set releases. Last year, we had Ixalan, we had Iconic Masters, and we had Unstable. 3 major sets came out, right, during that time. So maybe those sets didn't perform all that well, and my assumption is they probably didn't perform all that well, at least in part due to the fact that they were competing against themselves. For our purposes here, I'm using supplemental a little bit differently. Obviously, Iconic Masters and Unstable were supplemental products too, but I'm considering, for this example anyway, supplemental products being like dual decks and small things. Now, as far as the sets go, I think Ixalan sold just fine. I mean, it was a standard set. It's definitely going to sell. I just don't think it did anything that was super amazing. Unstable, I think, had surprising results for them and sold pretty well. They kind of had the right print run on it and everything. And I do think that cannibalized some of the business towards Ixalan and especially Iconic Masters, which was a less popular set and also at the higher price point. So you take all that into consideration. I don't think that was a smart thing for Wizards to do last holiday season. This year, they're trying to solve that problem, not give us all these products, not compete against themselves. So you're getting Guilds of Ravnica. You're also going to get the guild kits, which are actually pretty cool. I kind of think they're a nice idea. We'll see how those sell and everything. But that's it. We're not getting any other major set releases. So what this product does for them is it completely cuts out the middleman. If anyone buys this from them, you're giving Hasbro $250 straight. So if they were to make, say, a master set, they would sell that to distributors for about $110 a box. They would sell it to game stores for about $140 a box. And they're seeing profit, definitely, but they're not seeing the level of profit they're going to see if you hand them $250. As far as the creation of this product goes, well, sure, they had to print up different boxes and such. and they had to make these planeswalkers in foil, but they didn't design anything. They're using cards from Guilds of Ravnica. They're using cards that already existed. So they didn't have to pay anyone to create anything new, basically, other than maybe commission the artwork. So as far as startup cost goes, this thing is costing them very, very little. And basically, yes, their hope is enough people buy it. And I don't even think they're expecting a lot of people to buy it, hence the limited print run and such. Enough people buy it that they're able to at least make up some of the loss if you compare last year's profit to this year's. Because even though last year wasn't the way to go, and probably if you look at all the costs they put into designing those sets, they didn't sell enough to really be successful, at least in most cases, maybe not counting Unstable. But when you have extra product out there, you're just going to make extra money. So without that extra product, they're trying to eliminate the problems they had, but they're also trying to make it look like they're not losing as much money as it appears they are losing because they're not putting that product out. So they have to answer to their board of directors, who has to answer to their stockholders ultimately. So if you see a big loss, hey, fourth quarter last year you did this number, fourth quarter this year you only did this number, what's going on? Stockholders don't want to hear, we printed too many sets last year, we're trying to solve that problem. They want to know where the money is. Show me the money at the end of the day. And until Wizards comes up with a way to kind of close that gap, there could be problems. People could lose jobs over that. So they're looking for a way to close that gap. That's the big thing. Now, some people use the term cash grab. They'll say, yeah, they're just trying to grab some cash. I don't usually use that term because I kind of think it's redundant. I'll tell you, working for a major corporation, I'm going to let you know a little secret. Everything they do is a cash grab. There is no decision that's made that's going to say, this is a good decision, but it's going to lose us money. No. So, do they care about their consumers? Yes, to a degree. They care about their consumers as long as those consumers are giving them enough money. But nobody is not expendable, I guess, when it comes to a consumer. Because if they think about ways that they can make more money, they're going to perform what they call risk management. And if they make an unpopular decision, they might lose some customers. But if that unpopular decision is still going to make them money, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go with that unpopular decision. So now if it doesn't make them money, then they will backtrack. And they won't do it again, or they'll apologize or what have you. But I'll tell you, the business I was in, we sold entertainment experiences, at least in part. These entertainment experiences, we hiked the price about every year and a half or so. Little bits at a time, but we did. We increased price consistently. Every time we did, we got complaints. People were not happy with those price increases. Some people probably stopped buying those experiences, I'm sure. But we did some risk management, we did studies, and we found out that the people we lost wouldn't really matter all that much to us, unfortunately. They'll move on with their lives, we'll move on with ours, and we're going to make enough money from the price increase that it won't matter. And if that math didn't work out, I'm sure we would have backtracked and put the price back down, but it never was flawed. I mean, risk management studies were always successful enough to tell us what we could do and get away with, and we did it, and we made more money. So that's what Hasbro is going to do. And I know it sounds cynical, but that's just how business works. At the end of the day, they don't care about an individual. They care about their customers as a base because they can't lose them. They rely on them. But the individual can go if they don't need their money, basically. If they can still make more money by losing that individual, they're going to do it. So the other thing I would tell you is when something happens that's an unpopular decision, you could go on message boards and complain about it, and you could go on Twitter and complain about it. Someone from Wizards might see it. Trick or Blake, they might see it, and they're going to compile that data. I think they're going to probably do a report and send it to their leader. That leader probably sends it up the chain, and eventually it gets somewhere. Maybe it's a general manager type level, or a vice president level, or even a CEO level, perhaps. But at some point, someone's going to look at that data and say, that's what we expected exactly. We did the risk management analysis, and we found that people are going to be mad, but we're not concerned about the amount of people that are going to be mad for this. The risk management told us that we're going to sell enough of these, that we're still going to make money, and we're not going to lose enough customers for it to matter in the long run. And maybe we'll even gain some between now and then just through typical normal growth. So because of that, unfortunately, I'll be honest with you. The best thing you can do, I mean, if you want to vent, I mean, I realize sometimes that's cathartic to go online and say, wow, this is really stupid. But if you really want to impact a change, don't buy it. Vote with your wallet. Don't buy this product. That's really how you're going to change things. Not by going online and cussing about it. I mean, honestly, again, I respect if someone wants to do that and totally understand it. But at the same time, like, it's not doing anything. And I saw this a million times over in my experience with a corporation. We saw all this feedback. We logged it. We tracked it. We were still making more money at the end of the day. And that was all we cared about. That was the metric. I know it sounds horrible, but it's just true. And aside from that, I think there's another reason that they're doing this other than they need to make up their profit loss. The other reason is I think they're trying to fix prices. And what I mean by that is price fixing is something that occurs in the hobby industry quite often. And there's a lot of reasons to do price fixing. This is maybe the first time Wizards has done it on such a large scale. I mean, you could argue San Diego Comic-Con is kind of like price fixing in a way, but just on a much smaller scale because there's not as many of those products or maybe as many eyes on those products. This product isn't really in the long run much different than San Diego Comic-Con, but it has also kind of impacted the industry in a different way and the players in a different way. And I'll talk more about that in a minute, but price fixing isn't always a bad thing. And I'll give you an example when it's good. Iconic Masters. So I sell my Iconic Masters booster boxes to a distributor for $110, a store for $140, and they bomb. All of a sudden, nobody wants this product. Stores can't get rid of it. So, or Masters 25, another good example. So the distributors need to make room for the next product. So they say, okay, I paid $110 for this. Maybe I can just get rid of these things. I'll sell them for $140. All right. Well, the store bought them for $140, so they can't do that. They have to sell them for maybe like $160, maybe $170, $180. They're not really making much money, and they're still having a hard time unloading the product because the distributors are selling them for cheaper. So that puts the stores in a really bad spot. And you don't want your stores to go out of business because they're selling your product. They're distributing your product, and that's bad. So you don't want to put strain on the LGS or on the distributors. That's not good for you in the long run. So that's one reason you might price fix. You're trying to save them liability. So in other words, I don't believe in this product enough to send it to the LGS because I don't think they're going to be able to sell it for what we want them to be able to sell it for. So we're not going to include them. Also, sometimes price fixing is there to protect the consumer. Now, in this particular case, there's limited numbers, but they are limiting the purchases to 2 per person. Now, there's ways around that, obviously, and people will get friends to buy them and whatever. But that does make it harder and a little more difficult for people to just buy them and sit on them or resell them. So they're trying to, in some cases, take the reseller out of the equation or at least minimize the impact of resellers, which also hurts their business because resellers leave a bad taste in people's mouth. And if it gets bad enough, people will leave the game because of those type of things. So they don't want resellers to get out of hand or get crazy. And I think that might be another reason they're thinking about price fixing. Now, there's also a third reason you could price fix, and that's because you need to make the money. Maybe that's the case here. And simply, like I said before, you're trying to catch up the loss from last year. So how do you do that? Well, you cut out the middleman and you just have people buy directly from you, and then you're going to get all the profit because you need it in this case. So one example of a situation where you might price fix to protect yourself as a company is to prevent, say, what happened with Modern Masters, the first set. That set was very popular. They put some amazing reprints in there, so they sent it out to the stores, and the stores immediately increased the price because the supply was too low and the demand was too high. So all of a sudden, if they're selling these boxes for maybe $100 more than suggested retail price, then it's going to raise some red flags internally within a company. And even though in that example, it's not the worst thing in the world for the company because it is giving a boost to the LGSs, which is not a bad thing. But you are going to have questions asked from your board of directors or your CEO or stockholders saying, why did we leave that money on the table? If they're just immediately getting priced up higher, like $100 a box or so, why couldn't we have gotten a percentage of that? And next time around, what we saw was they did increase the price. They brought the prices up to $9.99 a pack. And that kind of alleviated that issue for the most part, although there was still some price hiking for the next couple sets. For the most part, it quickly stabilized. But then later on, we ran into the problem that the sets were not selling and prices were going down. So if you create a new product and you have fear that something like that could happen, maybe you price fix to protect yourself in your own profit margin. I think it's a combination of both of those, though. I do think they're trying on some level to protect the consumer and the distributors and the LGSs. And maybe this is also a test to see if they could do something to protect them long term or if there's other ways to fix prices. So I think price fixing is probably a big motivator here, but I also think the catching up on losses from the previous year is also a big motivator. So those are your two elements that are at play here. That's why this product exists. So ultimately, the reason I think it's different for the consumer, maybe I'll talk about my personal feelings here. I think this is probably a good segue. Personally, I don't like it. I don't like the product. I don't like San Diego Comic-Con product. I didn't like the HasCon product. I just feel like it's too restrictive. It's just too hard to get into people's hands that might want it. It's too expensive. And yeah, I realize it's a collectible card game. Some cards are going to be expensive. Some are going to be cheap. That's just the nature of it. And if you didn't have that element, the game actually probably wouldn't be successful. So you need that element, and it totally makes sense. However, I personally don't like this type of thing because of the exclusion factor, number one. But number two, because I think about what I'd rather have in its place. And here's what I'd rather see. I would have rather have seen them put masterpieces in the regular set again, like they did with the Kaladesh block, for example. And that sold more packs. Now, I get it. It felt like it overstayed its welcome. There was a lot of negative attention on it. And I know by the end, especially with the invocations, people were feeling like the design wasn't all that exciting. But guess what? Those are still going for tons in the secondary market. So I guess people weren't that upset about them, right? But it was fun to periodically open a pack. Now, I wasn't trying to get playsets of all of them or anything like that. I was the guy who liked to open a few packs. And if I hit one, wow, that's really cool. Look what I hit. Maybe I just sell it off and I can buy some more packs and draft or something. But I just really thought that was a cool surprise. Now, if I was trying to collect them all, well, that could be a burden. But I mean, some people might like to do that. And if you have the money to do that, by all means. But for me, I just thought it was a nice little surprise. When you got one, really cool because they're rare and they're hard to find. So cool. Look what I pulled. And I just thought it created excitement. It made for good stories to tell and got more people interested in the product. And ultimately, yeah, the gambling factor does kind of equal in there too, that people are sometimes just going to buy extra packs because they think they might hit one. That might not be healthy, but it does sell packs. I'll give it that. And I'm a gambler. I could see myself being guilty of that at times. So I'd rather have seen that. I also would have rather have seen a From the Vault product instead of this. And I know From the Vault products have their flaws. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they should bring it back the way it was. But I do think From the Vault, the idea of that is better than this and is more open to people. And it doesn't count out the game store. The game store, like a master set, for example, they do get, if it's done well, they do get a big profit from that. I mean, look at Modern Masters, the first one, or Modern Masters, even 2015. I mean, people were buying those and stores were doing pretty well. And Modern Masters 2017 was very popular. Eternal Masters did very well. So until recently, they kind of had the right idea with those sets, but they just sort of messed them up in the last year or so. So can they get past that and actually put out another good master set? That would have been nice to see. I'd rather have seen that than this product. So it's, for me, it's not that I hate this product so much. It's just that I feel like it's taking the spot. If they were trying to make money, I'd rather have seen any of those other things happen. And I feel like this is kind of in lieu of those other things. And that's where I'm disappointed personally. I also have a hard time with the fact that this is a direct item. And I just feel like, again, cutting out the LGSs is not good for the long term. LGSs are just too important, and you need to give them more than I think Wizards is giving them right now. If they start going out of business, even more so, and they are already, but if they go even further out of business, I mean, that's really going to hurt the game in the long run. And I think Wizards knows that, but I don't know if they've figured out exactly how to tackle that issue yet, or at least in a successful way. So, yeah, I guess those are my thoughts. Yeah, to sum up, I don't like it. Are they going to change it because I don't like it? No, of course not. If they don't make money is when they'll change it. So am I going to buy it? Nah, I'm not going to buy it. And if you don't like it, don't buy it. And if you do like it, I can't stop you, and I don't have any animosity towards you if you decide to buy it, because that is totally up to you. That's the consumer's decision. That's how supply and demand works and how these things work. If you like it and you have the means, go for it. But I'll tell you personally, I'm not touching this, not even to open on the channel. And I'm sure a lot of people, like I said, I'm not going to go complain about it everywhere because it's not going to do any good. But I'm just not going to buy it. Vote with your wallet. If you don't like it, vote. If you like it, vote. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. I know this is kind of played out. So if you want to tell me some of your thoughts, let me know in the comments below. But I understand that you're probably exhausted with this topic by now. But anyway, tomorrow, we'll try to do something fun in the channel, depending if we have previews or not, but maybe I'll do a box opening sometime before the actual previews kick in. That might be sort of a fun thing to do and get a more positive vibe going. But until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.